In this episode today, I have a very special guest, and we're going to talk about teaching STEM, pulling the crate, and is this a calling or a profession? Let's elevate. Hey, what's up? I'm Kantis Simmons, the academic success guru and leading authority on school improvement, and welcome to Educate to Elevate.
All right.
Now, I want you to hear this story of this young lady. She went to check on her son in kindergarten, just being a concerned parent, just going in to find out what she could do for her son. She goes in as a parent, but she comes out as a new
Classroom teacher.
Now, this was 15 years ago where, Ravonda, you went in to talk to the principal.
I was registering my son for kindergarten.
What was the question that you asked the principal?
I just said, is there any programs? I'd like to join the PTSA, maybe work with some teachers, maybe a couple days out the week as a parent. Just, I wanted to spend time with my son. And she just said, well, what are your credentials? And I said, well, I have a degree in biology, and I'm currently working at Piedmont Hospital. And that's basically it. So she went in her office, closed the door. I stood at the counter in the front office waiting for her. And she came back out about 15 minutes later and said, I need you to go to the Board of Education, fill out an application, and tell them that I sent you.
So she wants you to go to the Board of Education to fill out an application for what?
To be a teacher.
But you were just coming in to be a concerned parent.
Not a teacher assistant, not a paraprofessional, not a substitute, none of that. Just straight classroom teacher.
Now, if I'm correct, you were not
You're
not looking for a new job.
Absolutely, I was not looking for a job. I already had a full-time job, and I wasn't in the need. I had no desire to be a teacher at first, and people would always ask me, well, you work well with kids. I worked in children's ministry at my church for many years, and people always ask me, was I a teacher? And I'm not interested in that. But the path had been laid.
Wow.
And
so you didn't have any type of certification? She just said, go fill the application out.
We need teachers. At that time, there was a major teacher deficit in the state of Georgia and Atlanta metro area. And she said, we need teachers. School actually starts next week. And
so this was the week before school started?
The week before school started.
Wow.
So like I said, I was registering him for kindergarten. And I went to the Board of Education, and I filled out an application right there on the spot. Everything that they needed, had my references right there, people that they could call. And they sent me to two schools for an interview, Riverdale Middle and Babb Middle School, Forest Park. And I interviewed both those schools the same day, and they both were waiting for me. And my mother was visiting and out of town, and she was at my house. And I came back home, and I told her what happened. And she said, this is, the Lord laid the path. This is, definitely something that, you've been called to do.
Hold on, okay. So your mom says the Lord laid the path.
Right.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, your mother is a teacher.
Is a class, yes, over 30 years. She was in the classroom for over 30 years.
And your dad is
a high school counselor. And
your brother
is also a high school counselor.
And
I have two aunts who are retired teachers. And I have a cousin who's currently a teacher.
Okay, so your mom says the Lord has called you to be a teacher. Did your mom feel like you should be a part of this profession, or do you feel like she was hoping for that?
There were times when she would always bring that up and say, "Oh, you get time, you get time off. You have, wonderful benefits. You're a single parent. You have all, afforded all of these things." And so I said, well, still, that's not attracting me to be a teacher. And that time came around when my son had to go to school. And I thought about his times off, and I would have to, I would not be available
Mhm.
to him on his breaks and stuff. And that kind of was helped lean me towards the direction of being a teacher, but it wasn't, selling me to
Right.
being a teacher until I actually went in and the lady and the principal told me to go to the Board of Education, fill out an application, and I just said, right then, it was divine.
Wow.
It was really divine. I said, okay, Lord, I accept the calling.
So you agree with your mom that this was the Lord's doing, and
And
now
I
you're a
believe it's a
teacher.
divine, yes, I believe it
Divine,
was a divine calling. I really do.
good stuff.
Um,
Okay, so you're a teacher. You're a new teacher. Tell me about that first year.
the
What were some of the
first,
challenges you went through in that first year?
there were a lot of challenges the first year because when you're not necessarily certified, your administrators absolutely want you to get certified. So they're looking for you to go into school. They want you to
Mm-hmm.
go back to school to get certification. So I had those issues that I needed to deal with as far classroom management is major. I was dealing with 11, 12, and 13-year-old students.
11, 12. So that's like middle school.
It's middle school.
That's
And
when all of everything is moving on the
absolutely,
inside.
absolutely. Everything is moving, hormones and everything. That I had to deal with those issues, and then just being able to manage and organize.
Mhm.
Time management and organization are key players, and I'm
Mhm.
sure that's for any job that you do. But as being a teacher, time management and organization, um, it really can't be taught. It's just something that you have to be able to, over time, just be able to work out for yourself and know what works for you. And those things right away, if you've never been in a classroom, it's challenging.
Mhm.
It's really challenging.
So let me ask you this: your your mom was a teacher.
Hmm.
Your dad was a counselor. As a child growing up in that, did you see some issues with balancing school and family and life? Did it affect their relationship? Did it affect mother daughter time? Did it affect family time? Did you notice that in the household?
Initially, my father was in the military, and then when he retired from the military, he went into education to be a high school counselor. My mother had been a school teacher my whole life, so I noticed right away that she was always um, bringing work home, always bringing the crate, what we call it, the crate home, with papers to grade and the grades that need to be put in the grade book and lesson plans that need to be
Mm-hmm.
done. And this would spill over into the weeknight and even into the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times things had to be scheduled around her being able to fulfill that. So it wasn't attractive to me
Mm-hmm.
at first.
So, what is there anything that you practically do now that helps you balance school and life? What's the some things practically you do?
I learned maybe about 5 years ago to make some sacrifices during the week.
Mm-hmm.
If that means I have to come to work a little early or stay a little late, I'd rather do that. I'd rather stay till 5:30 than to bring work home or tie up my weekends with a lot of schoolwork. And that's what I've learned to do, and it makes
Hold on.
life
So
for
you
me.
say
I don't bring work home at all. I don't bring grade. I don't bring papers home to grade. I work the day through. Um,
hold on. So I have some teacher friends, and if I talk to them in the evening,
I know they're grading papers. They're entering grades in the grade book. They're working on their lesson plans. I know for a fact what it's all about. I know those issues, and
hold
I've
on.
done it.
So you teach middle school science,
Science,
right?
yes,
Middle
life
school
science.
science, and you've made a decision about 5 years ago
Work home,
not to bring work home.
yes.
So tell me about Ravonda, the teacher, before you made the decision
Oh,
and
Ravonda.
after.
I was just like all the other teachers that bring work home. I had the crate. The crate is all of the papers that need to be graded, your grade book,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe some resource material that you want to use to plan for the next week. And so in that crate, you are held down because it's time consuming. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it takes time. If you're a good teacher and you really want to make a difference in your lesson, you have to put the time in up front. And sometimes it spills over into the evening and on the weekends. But I did that. I would go get my son, take him to basketball practice, sit in the stands, and I'm grading papers while he's at practice.
Mm-hmm.
We would go home, get something to eat, and I'm finishing up what I got to do for the next day. And I did that for a long time. And about 5 years ago, I said, it's got to be a better way because the work doesn't stop.
Right. Do you
No.
feel better now that you?
I mean, I feel so much better. I feel prepared. I'm not rushed
Mhm.
because I know that I put the time in the night before, or that Friday before Monday. I put in time prior to, and the lesson is thought out. I may revisit it through the weekend and just mentally think about some things that I want to do.
Wow.
But other than that, I have free time to do what I want to do during the weekend, and I'm not pressured about trying to get things done for Monday. And Monday mornings can be depressing for some teachers who did not prepare early on. So
Wow. Now, that's absolutely amazing to hear that you leave school work at school
I do.
and don't allow it to come over into your everyday life.
Yes,
Okay, so that's a practical tip there.
absolutely.
There was something that I think in episode 1 of this podcast, I say this all the time to teachers that it's not about you. It's not about you. And I know you mentioned to me that you enjoyed the episode. Why did you say it's not about you?
It's not about you. It's about being able to come to work and share your abilities and being able to reach and make an impact on the students that we see on a daily basis.
Mhm.
I do realize that it can be overwhelming. Some of us in the middle school level, high school, whatever, we see up to 120 kids a day. I mean, that's just the nature of the job. But at the same time, out of that 120, if I can touch 10,
Mm.
then it's not about me. It's about them being interested in what I've taught them. It's about them being able to extend the learning, go beyond what I've taught them, do some research, and maybe even find themselves as a future scientist or a future doctor or a future astronaut or whatever. That's what it's all about. It's
Right.
all about being able to make an impact on their lives and realize it's not about me, and that I've got to do what I can to reach them, give them all that I have, my abilities, and know that when at the end of the day that they're walking away with something more than what they came to school for, than what they came that day for.
Wow. Ravonda, I want you to do me a favor because there may be a teacher, an educator, a principal. You may have a new teacher that just started that may say, you know what? Yeah, I've been a teacher this year, but I'm not thinking about coming back next year. Or you may be an educator or you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, and you're really considering just quitting, retiring right now. What would you say to that individual or those individuals that battle with stress, that battle with burnout, that battle with being overwhelmed? What would you say to them right now that will be a fuel of like gasoline that they can put into their car right now to
Into
help
their
them
tank, right?
continue
Everybody,
on?
and I understand everybody needs fuel in the tank because
Mhm.
we can sometimes burn out. What I would say is that what we do as educators, whether it's a classroom teacher, coach, mentor, principal, whatever, cafeteria worker, it doesn't matter. We are seeing our future. We're making an impact every day. And if there's one student that you know that you speak to every morning, if it's just good morning, Johnny, how are you doing? That right there probably means more than anything else. And that we come to work every day to make that impact,
Mhm.
to touch those children, and to know that it's not about us. It's not about how I'm feeling. It's not about who said what to me that morning and I wasn't able to get this and this done. It's about who did I touch and where can I go? Where can that student go from here? Um, the classroom is not just for instruction. It's about um, allowing the students to find an interest
Wow.
and moving forward in their lives.
Wow. That's if you've I'm not sure if you heard, but you've heard what she has to say, and
Absolutely.
you think about you see 120 students every single day, and
Absolutely.
if you can just
Absolutely.
impact one,
Absolutely.
that one could be the president,
Absolutely.
that one could be a CEO of a new company, that
An
one could be
inventor.
an inventor, that one could be the next doctor to invent a cure to a disease.
Absolutely.
So if you can impact one person, then that makes everything.
That will bring back to perspective why I come to work, why I
Mhm.
decided to do what I do. A lot of us came into education wanting to make a difference. Um, and differences are being made. And sometimes we have to recognize that we've made that difference in order for it to continue on. sometimes we get overwhelmed with what we do. We forget that we've made a difference, and we don't recognize the differences that we've made. Um, Recognize the differences that you make. Sit back and look and say, I saw Johnny actually turn in his homework.
Wow.
I actually saw Sarah read the research paper. I actually saw Michael do more than what I asked him to do. Those are the things that we need to recognize and to see that it's not about us. It's about making those impacts and seeing those changes and seeing the students grow from August to May. And there's at least one that you touch every day.
Good stuff. Well, I have two questions I love to ask my guests before they leave.
Okay.
Question number one is this: what is your most embarrassing moment as a teacher?
Wow, this goes back to my first year, and it kind of dated me. And the kids were going on a field trip, and they're asking me about all the things they could bring on their field trip. So I said, okay, well, you can bring your Walkman on the field trip. And so this is in 2000. And so the room got really quiet, and they all just looked at me. And then somebody got the nerve and said, "What is a Walkman?" I was like,
Okay, hold on. Let's role play it. I'm gonna be the kids.
excuse me. We're going on a trip today, and we're going on a trip on Friday, and we're going to be outside, and we're going to be looking at this and this and that, and there's some things that you can bring, and some things that you can bring your lunch, this and that, and you can bring your Walkman.
A Walkman?
Yeah, your Walkman.
What's a Walkman?
With your headset, with your cassette player, you can listen to music.
A Walkman?
Isn't that what you guys listen to your music on?
No, we have iPods, Miss Hardy.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Taking me back.
I'm just playing with you. A Walkman, really? Okay, that's like old school.
It's like it is. It really dated me, and I just had to stop for a minute and realize that okay, this is 2000. I'm not I'm not in the same time frame. So.
All right, here's my last question for you. Being a teacher right now, being a mentor, being someone that works in the area of life science. Right now for you, what is something that you're really, really proud about being a part
of? There's a girls group that I work with. I've been working with for about 8 years. It's called Teen Girls and Technology.
Teen Girls
and Technology.
Okay.
And TGI Tech is what we call it. And it's a partnership with Georgia Power and the YWCA. And it just exposes young girls to go beyond the classroom. It focuses on STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math.
Go STEM.
And, we go to the STEM festivals. We go to different schools like Georgia Tech and Southern Poly State University here in the Atlanta metro area, where those schools are technology and engineering schools. And we just expose the young ladies who are interested in the STEM areas and allow them to compete in Future City, which is another STEM competition that's here in the Atlanta area, and allow the ladies to just expose and just kind of reach out beyond the classroom. And we've seen young ladies who came into the program as 11-year-olds now going to schools like St. John's and Emory and Georgia Tech, and majoring in science, technology, engineering, math fields, and wanting to be research scientists, wanting to be doctors. It's wonderful. It really is. It's a good feeling to see that. And that's another thing that I have to also say, that it's not about you. That also helps teachers to continue to be motivated in what they do, because you can see them at the graduation and say, I remember Johnny when he first came in at 6th grade and he didn't want to read, and now he's graduating from high school.
So now you're seeing the result of your labor.
You can see the results. And that's what helps, when you recognize the differences that you've made.
Awesome. Well, have you guys enjoyed this episode? I know I personally have enjoyed having you here at the Educate to Elevate studio. But yes, if you would love to, you don't mind taking comments and questions or whatever.
Absolutely.
If you have a comment or question that you want to ask Ravonda personally, hey, leave it in the comments if you're on the website, or if you want to leave a review, or wherever you want to reach me, just go to educatetoelevate.tv, and if you want to leave a comment for myself or ask Ms. Hardy a question, then you can definitely do that. Here's another cool thing I want you to do. If you know of other teachers and educators that could benefit from this episode and benefit from this podcast, just share with them to go to educatetoelevate.tv, or even tell them to tune in to iTunes where they can subscribe to this podcast. Or even if you listen to it on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to it and share it. And just be so kind and share the love. Don't be stingy with the little video podcast. Yeah, don't be stingy, but go ahead and share the love and help other educators and let them know that it's important that we educate so that we can elevate. Well, Ravonda, I appreciate you coming to the studio.
I enjoyed being here.
Well, good stuff. Hey, I'm Kantis Simmons, and remember this, there's only one game of life that counts, and that's your A game. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. All right, next Wednesday, same time, same place, here at Educate to Elevate.
All right.
Thank you, Ravonda.
Thank you.
What's for dinner tonight?
Turkey breast.
I think I'm coming to your house for dinner.